Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrusham Tattvamasya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam. Today we welcome all the viewers and participants who are watching us for this new series started at the Adi KAILASA Nithyananda Peetham. This new series is about the alankaram. Alankaram is the science where we decorate gods who are embodied in deity forms. It is an art and a science where whatever we visualize in our head, the fantasy imagination that we create of a god in our head, we make it real onto the deity itself. And in this alankaram, there is a very special science created by our ancestors, our Hindu ancestors, called the Kattumoorti alankaram. Kattumoorti refers to as tying god deity. So it is an alankaram where if you see now, Swamiji's deity, he is with two hands and in a standing posture. Now, we will want to see Swamiji's deity in various different forms. He has done, like he has danced, he has had food, he has given Maheshwara Puja, he has sat down, we have seen him sometimes lying down in the courtyard, and various different postures of Swamiji that we all cherish in our hearts. So how can we bring out all these imaginations and all the love that we have for Swamiji's different postures and forms? How can we bring it out into reality? This is the way that we can bring it out, through Kattumoorti alankaram. This is the alankaram where you will have separate hands and feet that you will attach to the deity and make the deity look. Now if Swamiji is standing, you will make him look like he is sitting. You will make him look like he is dancing. You will make him look like he is sleeping, or make him look like he is doing anything. You can practically do anything with Kattumoorti alankaram. The only thing that you require, as Swamiji has told, is when you have that visualization in your head, when you are able to visualize that in your inner space, you being able to recreate that same visualization in the outer world onto the deity is alankaram. When you have done that, you have mastered the Kattumoorti alankaram. And today we will be looking into the basics of a Kattumoorti alankaram. See, for any art or any science, for you to learn anything, whether it is you cooking or it is whether you singing or anything, whatever you may be doing, there are various dimensions, and the science may have developed to a great level today. For example, cooking. It may have developed to a very great level today with varieties of it. But there's always something called the basics and the foundations. Only when we learn the basics and foundation of cooking, we will even know what to play with, how to play with, what to change, what to manipulate, and what to make in different forms so that we can bring out the best in any dish. This is the same thing with Kattumoorti alankaram. Once you know the basics, once you have learned the foundations of it, like how to tie the stick, how to make the hands stand, how to make the legs stand, how to bend it in different postures, and how to dress up so that when the eye sees the posture, it can recognize that he is dancing. So all this, for us to learn all of that, is today's class, for us to understand the basics and the foundations of Kattumoorti. So for any alankaram, the basic is always to first tie the stick. Only after tying the stick, you will be able to even do you can even take forward your steps into any part of it, into the alankaram. Whether it's tying the garland or whether you're dressing up the deity or anything, first step is for you to tie the stick. So let us go into that now, and you can continue watching while I will be telling you live what are we doing step by step. Okay? So as you can see, we have a stick. Okay, so the stick always depends on the number of malas that you are putting onto the deity. For example, if we are using 4 or 5 malas for the deity, Then depending on that length and the breadth of that mala, you need to make the stick, the length of the stick. You need to make it out. Okay. So I'm just doing basic length. This is the usual length that we go for, around 3 feet, 3 to 4 feet. So how do we make the calculation is, you can see the shoulders of Swamiji, the deity. From the shoulders, you can measure the mala's breadth, like 1, 2, 3. 3 and 4 malas you can put. So you can have that many, you can have that length of a stick on both sides, depending on how many malas you want to put. So first thing you'll do is you'll tie the stick. And always when you tie the stick, make sure that you tie it very firmly towards the back side of Swamiji's shoulder. Never tie the stick towards the front. If you tie the stick to the front, it will not stand. It will always fall down. So now we tie it. And always when you start in the first, surely you will not be able to get a very good grip of the stick and it will be quite loose. But as you go on, surely you will get a hold of it. Just like any other art you are learning, as you go on, without breaking your will and not giving up, if you continue practicing, surely you will be able to get a grip onto tying the stick tightly. And now we have the basic stick. Okay, so this is very important. And now we always follow, there is a formula, a method we call the X. The X is a formation of the stick. It is like practically like you draw a big X behind Swamiji, behind the deity. So how do you do that? So now you take another stick. So you take another stick, okay, and you can put it behind the deity and leave it like this. So you understand? This is one part of the X which you're going to draw, and this is the other one. So I hope you guys are able to see and you're able to get an X. Do you understand? So on the top it will look like a V, but actually it's an X. So always remember to tie the sticks to the shoulder point. Sometimes people do the mistake of tying the stick too close here or too far here. But the best is always to tie it here. Exactly at the shoulder point you will tie the stick. Only then when you do the mala, the flower alankaram, the flowers will give a good shape. Otherwise it won't look precisely nice, or it won't look in symmetry with the deity or the alankaram. It will look very awkward. So once you are done with that, again make sure that you are tying it very firmly, so that, because malas, the flower malas are usually quite heavy, and if you don't tie a stick properly and it dances a lot, if it shakes a lot, then the stick may move. For example, if I am putting a very heavy mala on and I put a pressure because of putting the mala, the stick may just go like this. It may dance and then the whole mala formation will be out. So you always need to tie it in double points. Here you need to tie it here. Here you need to make another tie, so that the stick doesn't move and the stick has a foundation to stand on. If the stick doesn't have a foundation, for example this pitam, then the stick will always move down, it will fall down. For example this stick, if I am leaving it in the air, okay, and there is no foundation here, you can see there is no foundation here, then when I put the malas on, it will come down. So there again we have a problem. So you need to tie it that it stands on a foundation. Currently I am just tying it as it is, because we are not putting any malas today, but whenever you put a mala, remember to tie the stick to the ground. Always that is the best option you can have, or give a foundation to the stick. To whatever length you have it, give a foundation to the stick. For example, if it's this length, then you can give a height here. You can give it a brick or a stone or a stool, something to support the weight, so that when you tie the malas, it doesn't fall off. And just to tell everybody as we are tying, usually alankarams are not done in open public, because alankaram is basically you are dressing up a deity. You are basically dressing up a person in normal sense. So you will not show yourself dressing in public. You will always do it in closed rooms. So same way alankaram is also done in a closed room, or a screen is put so that nobody can see the alankaram except for the priest who is performing it. But in today's class we are opening it to public, because Swamiji has blessed and wants everyone to learn this science. So this is the only time that we are allowing it to be seen. Now next we come to the main part of it. See, this stick is basically for any sort of an alankaram. You need to tie the stick, whether it is a normal standing alankaram or you are doing a Kattumoorti or anything. But the next point of it is where we actually go into the Kattumoorti. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to understand one thing. Kattumoorti is basically enlarging the body of a deity also. See, now if Swamiji's chest is just this big, okay, then now we are going to make his chest into this big. We are going to make his chest this big, and then we are going to make his hands here and his legs this big. Okay. So as I do, you will be able to understand. So the first step to any Kattumoorti alankaram is to always raise the proportion of the chest. Only after raising the proportion of the chest, you will be able to figure out the rest of the proportions, the hands, the thighs, the calf muscles, the feet, anything. So first thing we need to do is raise the chest proportion. How do we do that? And what is the best proportion you can come to? See, because there is a size of the face of the deity. See this size. So for this, say, a face size, you can maximum do this much. Always the best proportion to take for the chest is to cover up to the hands, the first two hands. Some deities have 4 hands and 6 hands and so on. But the best option is always to make the chest proportion up to this much, to the first 2 hands, to cover it up. Then you will be able to get a good proportion. Now this is the breadth. So this breadth is going to come this much. What about the length? The length for this kind of a breadth would only be from the neck to the knees, to here. Nithyananda. I'm hoping I'm audible now. So now we are going to go back into what we were learning. So yeah, usual mistake that beginners make is they tie it super close to the neck. If you do that, when you look at the deity once the alankaram is done, it will look like the deity doesn't have a neck. So you need to push it a little lower. Always maintain at least 1 inch gap between the neck, the chin and the cloth. So you can see the neck, right? So you can get a shape like this. Okay, so do that, and by now your cloth should have reached the hands. It should have reached that level. Okay, next you take another cloth. And usually what we do in temples is that we take the old saris which were used for the deities, and we use them for these purposes. We don't usually take the new ones or the ones which are currently using for the deities, but we take the old ones which are faded, which may have been torn, or maybe it got dirty. So we clean them and then we use them for these purposes. Okay. So again you take another cotton cloth, a sari actually, and you do the same pleating. This pleating you do it, and again you do that. So you almost get like a rose bouquet on the top. You can look at it very closely. It is like a rose bouquet on the top and fully filled. So you have to get this kind of a thing. Always do that. And now again fold this also in half. So again just showing everybody, you take your hand like this, put it in the between of the sari, and fold it in half. And again take a rope, and put it through. Okay, so you got it. So now you have it like this. Okay, and again do the same thing where you put it through the other side of the stick and tie it up. Do not put double knots, because double knots means that you can't use the rope again. That is not very advisable. And again remember not to cover up the neck. Don't do this. Do not do this. Always maintain it low so you can see the neck. Remember that very carefully. And again fasten the other side, and there you go. Now this again the same cloth, you need to take it and keep it aside. Okay, and now same method you do again. Take the second part of the cloth, fold it in half and keep it above. Okay, now you got this. Now it is expanded a lot, and then you take the first half of the sari and you leave it in the front. Okay, and there you go, you have the chest now. Now how do you fasten the rope for the chest? Do not tighten it too much. Don't do this. Do not do this. Always have a rope that is not too loose or not too tight, just holding it perfectly. Otherwise your deity will look out of proportion, who has just gone through a plastic surgery. So yeah, just maintain it so that it doesn't look too awkward. Okay, So now we have enlarged the chest. So what was this small, we have made it this big. What was this short, we have made it this tall, this long. Okay, and now this is where it bends into the hips and the waist. Okay, from here. Okay, this is the basic for any Kattumoorti, whether the deity is sleeping or dancing or sitting or standing or any posture you want to do. And this is the basic. After doing this is when you will understand how thick should the hand be, how long it should be, how tall should the legs be, how long it should be, and all of that stuff. And now we will get into the hands and the feet. Now, usually the hands and the feet are separate pieces. As you can see, we have a hand here. Okay, this hand is quite big, so we usually use this kind of hands in Adi Kailash. And these hands have two holes to them, one here, another here, for you to tie the rope. You can see, you tie the ropes here, so that you can tighten this rope to the cloth which will be the whole hand. So this hand, you can always use it like this, or you can do any posture you want, whatever you want to move it, like this, up, down, side, anywhere. So always have a pair. We have a pair, the right and the left, as you can see. And we have the feet. Same goes for the feet. The feet are always available in this shape. So if you want to make it stand, you can do this, and you can either do this if you want to make it sit, and all that you can do. Same, the legs also have the holes here, one hole here, one hole here, so you can tie them up. Now, how do we make this hand and the feet? Now we have got the hand and the feet. How do we make the entire leg? How do we make the calf muscle? How do we make the elbow, the thigh, the knee, everything? How do we do that? Before I move into that, I would like to tell everybody that these Kattumoorti legs and hands, these feet and hands, are available in most of the Indian puja stores. If you go to any Indian puja store and ask them for the hands and feet for Kattumoorti, then they will surely give you, but it may not be in this size, but it may be little smaller. So yes, you can get them in those stores. Now, how do we get what is the secret behind making the hands and the feet, the whole leg and the hand and the shoulder and everything? Now, we usually use copper rods. Okay. Now this copper rod is already wrapped in small cloth. So we have a copper rod that is about 2 to 3 mm thick, and it should be a solid rod which is bendable. See, I am bending it. So it should be bendable, not too flimsy but not too stiff either. Now what do we do is, we take a sari. Okay, the most preferred is of course the cotton sari, because that is one of the most stiff cloths that you can get in the world. So you take one end of it and you put it on. Okay, with the end you put it on and you start wrapping it. This is where you will do it very tightly. You need to wrap the cloth tightly so that when you tie the hands, the shape of the hands is standing properly and it's not moving too much. Okay, now go on wrapping. It may take a while, but remember, this is the most important and basic thing of Kattumoorti. Wrapping the hands and the legs with the saris very tightly is very, very, very important. And you don't need to wrap the entire length of the rod. It only depends on how long you want your hand to be. Now I want my hand to be this long, because now here I'm going to tie the hand. So you can see we're going to tie the hand, and from the wrist to the elbow, and the elbow to the shoulder. Okay, so we're going to go continue. So now what we can do is, once you have got your desired height for the hand, you can, instead of going up, you can again come down back. Okay, you can start coming down again, tight. Remember, tightness is very important. And you don't need to, again, when you come down, you should not go full length. You should not be going and again rotating the whole thing again. No, that's wrong. You only rotate and leave 1/4 before you turn back down again. You do not do this, you do this. Okay, so you leave this part to be thin, because if I make this part thick, for example, now if I make this part thick and I go back, what happens is the hands, depending on the size of the hole, it will just sit this much. Okay, and it won't be in proportion to the rest of the hand. See, the hands are thick here, right? Now as I go down, it's becoming smaller, and I'm sure that's not how our hands are. So we need to remove it. Now let's see the other way that I told you. Now leaving 1/4 of the hand, and without the second turning, you just go back down. And as you do the second turning, always in the second turning, start looking at the shape of the hand that you are creating now. Is it coming in a proper shape? Is it coming without any bumps, without any hills and valleys around? Then yes, you have got the right twisting. Otherwise, you need to practice on that and make sure that you are twisting it uniformly and you are getting the hand in a proper shape. Now as we go up again back to the shoulder, we need to remember that after our elbows, our hand is becoming thicker. So again you go down, and you rotate again very tightly, and you come up again. Okay, so make sure that the shape is fine, and now you can come back again. This time you don't need to do very close circles, you can do a very wide circle, wide twisting, and you can finish it off. Now the extra cloth, you can just rotate it and leave it behind. So this is the usual hand that we make. And you can tie it up. So this is a basic hand that you can get. Okay, so it should come from a small size to a bigger size till the shoulder pads. Now take your hand and put it in. Okay, make sure you are securing your hand in very well and tie it up. See, always do the cross, do not tie it straight or do not tie it back. So this rope, you take it like this tightly, and this rope you take it like this, you cross it, you bring an X again, and then you tie it up together. Okay, so now we have tied the hand, it is not coming out. Be very sure, because these hands are quite heavy, and if they fall they may injure you, so be really careful about that. Now once you're done with that, you get a hand. Okay, just visualize the hand is up to here. So this is the hand. Now what do I do? If I want to have Swamiji's hand like this, I can keep it like this. Just visualize this part, because the rest of it from here to here, we are going to bend it in like this. We are going to take it and we are going to bend it in, and we are going to leave it behind. Now you are able to see. So this is what we do. This is how we start making the size of the deity bigger. Now this is a straight posture. If I want to bend Swamiji's hand, such as he is holding his hip, then I bend at the elbow point. Okay, and I leave it like this. See, it's like almost he's holding his shoulders, so his hip, sorry. And this is how we form the rest of the Kattumoorti. In the same way, you need to rotate and you need to form the rest of the This is the basics for any Kattumoorti. So today what and after requesting the blessings of the deity, then only we will move into the alankaram itself, because then only the flow, or the Kattumoorti happening, everything will come perfectly and you will be able to do it very smoothly. Nithyanandam, Nithyanandam, Nithyanandam. So always pray to the deity that you are worshipping, that you are doing the alankaram to, before you start, because always the permission of the deity whom you are going to touch and you are going to do the alankaram is very important. I have seen many instances where if we don't worship the deity and we do not take the basic permission before we start touching them, then how much ever expert somebody may be, it will not happen. The Kattumoorti will just not happen. It will fall, the hands will fall, the chest will not be fine, something, the jewels will fall, or some other problem. But if you pray to the deity, even if you don't know anything, you will always see that the deity will somehow help you, and the alankaram will be so smooth and so easy. So before we end today, I have a small homework that I wish everyone who's watching this would do. In these many years that Swamiji has trained the entire KAILASA and all the KAILASAs around the world, there have been so many alankarams that Swamiji has inspired all of us to do. So go to Nithyanandapedia. I'm repeating very carefully, listen. Go to Nithyanandapedia and you need to find 5 different alankarams that of Swamiji, 5 different alankarams of Swamiji in this 5 different postures. Okay, I'm repeating. Go to Nithyanandapedia or to the Facebook page of Swamiji or the Nithyanandeshwara Parameshwara Devalaya page. You will find lots of photos of all the alankarams that have been done in the past years in Kailasa. Go to those Facebook pages or go to the Nithyanandapedia and find 5 different photos of Swamiji's alankaram. It can be in any year or any Brahmotsavam or any time. 5 different photos of Swamiji's alankaram in this 5 postures. I'm repeating the postures. First posture is dancing. Second is Swamiji in the reclining posture, which is the sleeping posture. Third, which is Swamiji feeding, Swamiji's feeding posture. Fourth is Swamiji's sitting posture. And fifth is Swamiji's standing posture. Now when I say standing posture, I do not mean that Swamiji without the Kattumoorti. There are alankarams where Swamiji has been with the standing posture in Kattumoorti. So please go and find these 5 and post this 5 on your Facebook profile tagging Kattumoorti Alankaram series. So this is the homework. Again I'm repeating. Go to Nithyanandapedia or Facebook and find for 5 different Swamiji's Alankaram, Kattumoorti Alankaram pictures and the 5 postures that we want is Swamiji's dancing, Swamiji's deity in the dancing posture, Swamiji's deity in the feeding posture, Swamiji's deity in the sitting posture, Swamiji's deity in the standing posture, and Swamiji's deity in the reclining or the sleeping posture. So please go and find these. Why we are telling you to do this homework is, when you are able to cognize that okay, dancing means this posture, then you will be able to understand and catch that photo, and you'll be able to upload it correctly. So that means you have started grasping the visualization, that if someone says that can you do a Kattumoorti of Swamiji in the dancing posture, you will be your visualization will be able to grasp and immediately reflect a picture in your head of what a dancing posture is. What would Swamiji look like that in that posture? So to do that, to enhance that ability, is today's homework. So wish you all would do that homework to enhance your ability to grasp and build the basics for alankaram. So with this, I thank all of you for joining us today for this first session of Kattumoorti Alankaram series. I am looking forward to meeting all of you in the next session with your homeworks done, of course. So thank you, Nithyananda. We will end with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Sarvam Bhagavat Sri Nithyananda Paramashiva Paduka Arpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam.